All right, Gentlemen Badass Podcast. With me, as always, Mick Doyle.
Yellow.
And today we've got a very, very special guest, Chad Ward. Is that right?
Yeah,
Chad Ward.
Yeah,
all right.
That's me.
Better known as Yeti.
Yeti.
All right. And if you're watching on YouTube, you might be able to get a little idea of why people call him that. But I will say, it looks like you've been losing weight.
Yeah, I just lost 47 pounds, actually.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. What you do?
Keto.
You know.
I joined the fad.
Yeah.
I haven't had a carb in 4 months.
Really?
And you're not trying to strangle anybody?
No. Actually, I really don't miss bread at all, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Like, it's crazy. Like, I just said to Lacey last night, like, rice and bread, I don't miss, and I don't really like Italian food, so pasta I don't miss, really. 'Cause maybe in Thai food I miss the noodles,
Yeah.
because I'm a complete Asian food junkie. But
Have you ever tried the veggie noodles with Thai? It's actually really good.
I have not tried like zoodles yet with Thai food.
Yeah, where you just get like a zucchini and you shred it like in one of those shredders. I was surprised at how good it was, especially with Thai food.
I mean, I had it with spaghetti sauce, but I was like, yeah, it was a little wet.
Exactly. And that's why Thai food I think is better, because Thai is still kind of like, it's got that consistency. But anyway, so Chad has a pretty interesting job. So would your main title basically be drum tech for the Foo Fighters, or how would you explain your job?
Yeah, for Foo Fighters, you're a backline tech, but yeah, I am the drum tech for the Foo Fighters.
Okay. And then you've worked with lots and lots of other bands. What are some of those other bands, and what have you done for them?
I've worked for numerous acts over 26 years, and ranging from all different like positions, from production manager, tour manager, stage manager, keyboard tech, carpenter. Like, I was on the last Justin Bieber tour.
Nice.
I was a carpenter on that tour.
We might get some girls to listen to this. Yet.
Beeb.
Yeah, I was out with the Biebs, and then but I mean, like everything, like I said, from Justin Bieber to Foo Fighters to Slipknot to Kelly Clarkson to, I mean, just about everything.
Nice.
I've done a ton of hip hop too, like Drake, Eminem, Redman, Method Man.
Wow. Well, it's going to be hard to kind of take a step back from that, but we'll get back into that. But let's kind of get an idea of your background, like where you grew up, what you were like as a kid, stuff like that. What tell us about your childhood.
I grew up in Omaha. Grew up in District 66. It's known for kind of being a rich, I guess, per se, district.
Affluent.
But I guess if you watch the movie The Outsiders, there's the socias and the greaser. I guess I would have technically been considered a greaser because I lived in the really poor section of District 66, unfortunately.
Slums of Beverly Hills, basically.
So I spent most of my time like walking to Papio Creek with my friends because we found that to be fun. And my parents divorced when I was very young, so by my mother.
Okay.
And
when did you get into music? What age were you when you?
I was into music really young because both my parents like were very pro music, and my first concert actually was Kiss in 1978. And I was 7 years old. And I remember seeing the commercial on TV. I came home from school and it was like, Kiss coming to the Civic Auditorium. And I freaked out. I literally called my mom and was like, they're coming to Earth. And she was like, who, what? And I was like, Kiss is coming to Earth. They're coming to Omaha. I got to go.
We need to go.
So, I mean, like, and I still have a picture from when I was my 6-year birthday and I'm holding a Kiss the Kiss record I got for my birthday. So my parents were very like, I mean, shit, by the time I was 10, I mean, I had already seen Alice Cooper, I'd already seen Kiss, I saw Queen, I saw Rush. Like I seen it all by 10 years old.
How about playing music yourself, instruments?
I wanted a guitar. My parents got me a guitar like right around 7 or 8. And I just didn't have the knack for it. I thought I was going to be Ace Frehley the second they handed it to me, and I couldn't play guitar at all. So I didn't want it. And then I got my first drum kit at 10, and it just, I guess I was a natural right off the bat. Like, it wasn't hard for me to immediately figure out like a 4/4 time signature beat, and it just started coming a lot easier than guitar.
Any other instruments too? Keyboard too, or
yeah, like slowly. Like I've been playing a lot more piano lately, and then I've been trying to play a lot of guitar lately. Actually, I've been trying to teach
getting back into it.
Yeah, and I'm love bass guitar. That's really where like my soon-to-be love is going to be.
Yeah.
I was looking at Warwick basses today online, dreaming
go.
about the $4,000 bass. I'm gonna tell my wife I want to buy.
Yeah, you know, I had actually I bought a drum set, like a $300 used Thomas set, like a couple years ago, and I basically had it in my basement so the band could come over and practice. But then I was like, I really want to learn how to play this, and so I sat down and I practiced. And drumming takes up, it's just such a different thing than playing guitar, and it's so much fun. I wish I had more time to actually invest and get good at it, because there's almost like an immediate reward. Like you learn how to do a and it's like, yeah, I'm doing this. This is great. And then you realize like how deep the rabbit hole you can go. Guitar, like you just don't get any. You don't. You've got to like suffer. It's kind of like jujitsu. You've got to suffer through it for like months and months and months before you get anything that sounds halfway decent. And then it's years and years and years before you get something that sounds actually good.
Well, I have a funny story about him. That my kids decided that they wanted to learn how to play drums, and one day in the gym, I just mentioned to you, I'm like, yeah, I could fucking get a drum kit for my kids. He's like, oh, I'll get you a drum kit. He's like, what do you need? And I was like, I don't know. I go, it's for my kids. Like, they want to learn how to play the drums. And he's like, oh, yeah, I'm sure I got stuff laying around. And at the time, I didn't know that he was connected with all. I just knew that you were like a roadie or something, but I guess I never really asked. So he shows up to the gym with this drum kit. And it's fucking nice. And he's like, oh, it's used, but it'll do the job and stuff. And so I think you came over and set it up.
Yeah.
And so my kids go down there and I'm like, hey, you should probably watch this YouTube video. And I don't really know. I can play hand drums, but I don't know anything about that. And my kids fucking decided that Animal from the Muppets was going to be their inspiration. And that's pretty much how they played. But it was like weeks later that we're in the gym, and then you told me that was actually one of the Foo Fighters kits or something like that. It had been used on tour. And I go back and I tell my kids, and they stopped playing it. Like it was some like kind of relic or something that they couldn't, I can't touch that now. And I was like, that's fucking cool. Like that's exactly the kit that you should be playing. They're like, yeah. It's like all of a sudden, like intimidation factor went to 1,000, and basically that kit sat there for the longest time. Like I raised the bar. You raised the bar too high for my kids. So thanks for that.
Yeah.
So I guess along those lines, how did you end up coming to work for these bands? How did that look at the beginning?
It all happened because I was working at a restaurant bar. It was called Sharky's Brewery here in Omaha, and so now we're in that fitness place on 77th and Cass or whatever. They demoed the building, but I had grown up with the 311 boys, and me and Tim, the guitar player at 311, we're like best friends to this day still, but we have known each other since we were 4.
Okay.
And they had just gotten signed, had gone out to California, they got signed, and then they were coming back to showcase in Omaha. Well, on their way here, their gear, their RV blew up. And they lost all their gear. Whoa. And like Nick lost all of his hair even. Like it burned his hair off.
Jeez.
So I got a call from Tim Mahoney at my house, and he's like, hey man, we're going to be I'm like, yeah, you're going to be in Omaha in a couple of days for the showcase. And I said, yeah, I'm actually stage managing this thing. I had never stage managed before, but the owner of the restaurant brewery knew nothing about music, and he's holding this Shark Fest. So he's like, can you get bands on and off on time? I'm like, sure. So Tim calls me up and says, we have no gear. And obviously, at the time, Chad, the drummer of 311's mom, worked at Jovota Drum City, so he was fine as far as drums go, but I got the rest of them. So I called every friend I knew and said, can I borrow your amp? Can I borrow your amp? Can I borrow your bass rig? Hey, I need to borrow a turntable from you because this guy wants to wiggy on it, And so they came, played the show, everything went great, and literally the next morning at 6 a.m., it was around 6 a.m., Nick Hexum of 311 calls me, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm sleeping. I just saw you like 4 hours ago. I'm sleeping." And he's like, "Hey, man," and this is like a Monday now, and he's like, "We leave on Wednesday for this first tour ever that we've ever, with our first tour ever of the U.S. or whatever, and do you want to go with us?" And I was like, And I was going to go to culinary school in September in Chicago. I was like, "Yeah, like how long?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's," and this was like in mid-May, I think it was when it was. And he's like, "Yeah, we're, till the end of August pretty much." And I was like, "Yep, I'm in."
Yeah.
Pack my bag and never made it to culinary school.
What'd your parents say when you had that conversation with them? Like, "Hey,
Well, unfortunately, I mean, my mother passed away while I was in high school, and my father, like I said, my parents divorced when I was really young, so my dad didn't even live in the state. I hadn't seen my father in many years at that point, so I was on my own already.
So
at the
you're
point
ready.
there.
You're just like, let's do this."
Yep. I was 21 years old and living on my own already. So I just had to look at my roommate and say, "Okay, here's the next couple months worth of rent." And I was already moving out in September anyway. So I was like, "Here's a couple months worth of rent and I'm out."
Did they say like they give you an amount that they were going to pay you? Was it just like you were just hanging out and having fun, or was it?
We didn't even, like, I just said, "Yep, I'm in."
Yep, nice.
And then the day we left, and I was just so excited, and he came to me. I still hadn't asked. And he was like, "Hey, man, so, we're going to pay you," like, it was like $120 a week, $10 a day PDs, and that's it.
Nice.
I was like, and he goes, "And most of your food and your hotel are obviously paid for." I was like, golden.
Yeah.
Damn. I was like,
I could live off of that.
I didn't care. I was just, all I knew, I was going to get free alcohol and be in a different bar every night of the week, and I was thinking about girls. I was 21 years old.
So obviously that comes with some responsibility. Did it? I mean, it went well then, and you just kept doing it from there, or?
It did. Like I immediately moved to California at the end of that tour, and I continued to work for them for 5 or 6 years. Okay. But during that time, you do festivals and you meet other production managers and all that, and I just started like keeping those contacts. And there came a point, where friendship is friendship, business is business, and I was getting better offers, and I was plain and simple, so like I said, me and Tim are still best friends to this day. I love 311. I was just at their studio last week in LA, but I just moved on.
What was the next band that you worked with then?
Technically, the next few things I did were studio gigs, and the first studio gig I did was Foo Fighters. Okay. It was for the Godzilla soundtrack, I think they were doing a song for, and I did that, and then I went and did No Doubt, the studio, and then I got a call to go out and basically grab the reins and stage manage and backline tech for Limp Bizkit.
Okay.
And they were just kind of blowing up. Mm-hmm. Like it was their first album, I think, but they really hadn't. They were doing like maybe 1,000 seaters at the time.
Okay.
So I went out and kind of took that over.
Crazy. So along those lines, I guess, if someone was trying to get into that line of work, what advice would you give?
Don't.
Get a real job.
Yeah.
No, I mean, if somebody wants to be like do concerts for a living, like be on the road, I would suggest like sound, lighting, or video being your best bet, because one, you're going to get hired by a company, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And the companies keep you on the road.
Okay.
Where if you're a backline guy like me, like, or a production manager or tour manager or wardrobe, production coordinator, any kind of stuff like that, you're definitely like freelance.
Okay.
So you're having to go find your next tour and make the calls like, "Hey, I'm available," and
kind
like
of still have to hustle between.
Yeah, you got to hustle between gigs. And even though you're well known, there's a lot of roadies,
Yeah.
So that would be my best advice for somebody like, get into sound, you know. There's a lot of sound companies, Clare Brothers, you know. People are mad that I listed them first, but they're the biggest. You know, Eighth Day, all these companies, but then like PRG Lighting and all these lighting companies.
So when you're on the road, typically how many weeks of a commitment is it for you?
It just depends on a tour cycle. Like Foo Fighters, when I'm on tour with them, it's like, it's not the norm because they don't tour like normal bands. A lot of bands, like Dave doesn't like to be on the road for long stints. So majority of the time we do like 3 weeks on, 2 weeks off, 3 weeks on, 2 weeks off. So you get a lot of home time. Whereas like Slipknot or like when I was out with Drake or any other kind of band, like I have to tell my wife, like, I'll see you in 10, 11 weeks. And it's even worse now that my kids are getting older to be able to say to my sons, you know, like, hey, you're not going to see daddy for the next 10, 11 weeks.
That'd be rough.
It's rough. Especially my 5-year-old now, like, balls every time I'm going to leave.
That'd be gut-wrenching leaving that.
It is gut-wrenching. Especially, like, I hate it the most, like, when leaving that day, the day I'm leaving, if I take them to daycare or preschool and drop them off there, because the second they get in, their kids are like, rah! And they instantly want to go to playing with the kids and everything. I'm like, hey, like, you know, daddy's leaving. And they don't get it. You know, they're just so into the moment of what they're doing that I'm like, it's the worst goodbye for me. But I guess it's a better goodbye for them than them taking me to the airport and I get out and they're both like, argh.
So I've and we're going to have them on the podcast too, but I've had the opportunity to watch Al Petrelli's Trans-Siberian Orchestra production and kind of seeing the back end of these shows and the rehearsals and stuff like that. And I honestly had no idea how hard road crews and how many hours a day those guys. Yeah. Can you elaborate on what a typical day might look like for you on tour?
Well, it depends what gig I'm doing. Like, but I mean, a typical day, like on, you know, for road crews in general, like, you know, normally, like on Foo Fighters, our trucks roll in. Usually about 6:30 a.m. They'll start chalking, which means they're going to chalk the floor of the arena with rigging points, so that when rigging starts, you know, you got the guys up in the rafters, going to rig all the motor chains, which will then, you know, raise all the lighting trusses and video and all that. But so 6:30 chalking usually starts. 7:30 rigging load-in starts, so they'll start unloading those trucks. Then you got lighting right after that. But I mean, a typical day, even if I'm drum teching, you know, I usually start my day at 9:30 in the morning, and it's probably 2 a.m. when I get into my bunk in the bus at night, you know, and then we roll into the next city and do it the next day. I mean, the good thing is when you get into the bigger size acts like Foo Fighters and those, but most acts don't do more than 2 shows in a row.
Okay.
You know, so you do get a break. You know, you do 2 shows in a row, then you have a day off, go sleep in a hotel. Yeah. But there is some acts that do 3 or 4 shows in a row, so you're working on minimal sleep, you know. And it's a long day.
The TSO guys are doing 2 shows in a day.
Yeah.
Sometimes, and then I mean, obviously their tour lasts 30-something days, and there's an East Coast and a West Coast band too, and those guys are just getting hammered. Yeah. Just crazy. I know, like I totally had a complete appreciation of you know, because when you go to a concert, you don't see you guys really, you know, and then, you know, you're there for the act, you're there for the entertainment, but just to put that 2-hour show on is a 10, 12-hour process that gets repeated again the next city, and it's crushing. Yeah. Crushing.
It's a lot of work. So when did you, and how did you end up finding your way into Mixed Gym? You remember that?
Yeah, I do. I mean, it's funny. I've known Mick's name for a long time.
Oh, shit.
And I know his name for a long time because my cousin, who's shitballs crazy, was a taekwondo instructor in Council Bluffs, Iowa. I don't even know if I've ever even told you this.
Oh, who's your cousin?
His name's Steve Golden.
Oh, yeah.
You know him?
Yeah, he's shitball crazy. Yeah.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Real shitball's great. I mean, I haven't talked to him in a long time.
No, I don't know this story, so this will be good.
But, I mean, he mentioned your name a lot to me over when I used to talk to him. But I had lived out in California, you know what I mean? So when I moved back to Omaha, I had, gone out in California. Like, I had taken Taekwondo as a kid, and then in California, I started doing jiu-jitsu with the Beverly Hills Jiu-Jitsu Club. But I like stand-up fighting better, to be honest with you. I'd rather punch somebody than try to choke them out. But so when I moved back here, I wanted to go to McDoyle's really bad. And I remember I think I emailed you a couple times like, hey, my name's, I don't even know if you remember that. And I emailed you about doing some private lessons with you. But then a couple of guys I get tattooed by were like, well, we go to McDoyle's. And it's Dominic Holmes and Lenny Rinkin. Did I say Lenny's last name right?
Yeah. Yep. The Lost Boys.
Yeah. The Lost Boys. Yeah, I have that sweet tattoo on my leg now.
Well, you know about the tattoo, right? We'll have to tell that story.
I've seen it, but I don't know the story.
Yep, I have one too. But they were like, yeah, come on down. Come to this morning thing with us. And I don't know why. Like I remember the day I was finally going to go there, I was scared shitless. I was like, shit, man, am I too old for this? And like, what am I getting into? I didn't really know. But I loved it. Yeah. When I walked in there, I was like, this is rad.
Did you survive the first day? Like, or was it, you never know what workout you're going to get when you go in. So did your ass get kicked, or was it?
Cardio-wise, I kind of got my ass kicked. Yeah. I didn't know what to expect. I think the first second day, Willie was like, hey, you guys go run up to that church and back. And I was like, oh, God. And at the time, I was heavy lifting, like really like in a bulking phase, really. Yeah. I still lift, but I'm not nearly as muscular as I used to be. Like, I was just gung-ho about powerlifting. Like, so just
hence the Yeti name, right? Yeah. Or is that where it came from? Or
no, Yeti came from my mom when I was a kid. She said it to me a couple times because I thought I had seen a Bigfoot and had nightmares about it. And then, of course, Tim Mahoney, my best friend, just took it and ran with that. And I've forever since been Yeti. And even on the road, I'll introduce myself as Chad, and people will be like, oh, okay, cool, Chad. And then after a couple of days, they'll be like, hey, Yeti, come here. I'm like, man, I introduced myself as Chad.
Somebody told this guy.
Fuckers calling me Yeti, too. Like, I just can't get rid of it.
No, I thought it was because you were just so fucking big. Like, I remember when you came in the gym, I was like, God damn. Because Lenny and Dom are, they're kind of slight, and then they bring this guy with them, and I was like, shit, this is about to get real. That's what I just thought it was Yeti because you fucking look like a Bigfoot.
Yeah, I had nightmares. My mom would come in and I'd be crying as a kid, and she'd be like, oh, the one they call Yeti, it's okay. And I'm like,
could have been worse. You could have been scared of like a butterfly.
Yeah, I know. And it's turned out to be a good thing because I basically just got sponsored by Yeti. So
nice. Well, that's all right. Nice. I see you're sporting the Yeti hat.
Yeah. Nice. And they just sent me a ton of stuff. They sent me some coolers. They sent me a ton of cups and all kinds of crap.
Very cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It's a good sponsorship.
I was gonna say we need to come up with some better nicknames.
Yeah, really. I don't even have a nickname. I've never had one. My last name's Kidney, and so like people never seem to get past that. It's always just Kidney. So I was hoping to pick up a fight name sometime, but it just never happened.
You just gotta be careful about that because sometimes we mess with people with their fight names.
I know.
We after a while, if you're in the gym long enough, we give you usually a fight name. But we've had a couple. Ty Mist, TYMIST, which sounds cool, except what it meant was tell your mother I said thanks. And then we had Eric, therapist, Daigle, which actually Eric was always the guy in the gym that you hated to roll with, you hated to spar because he had to touch like a rapist.
Yeah.
And so we couldn't actually call him the rapist, but that's what we wanted to say. So we just ran the two words together. So they would announce him as Eric, therapist, Daigle, and people would be like, "See a therapist?" I'm like, "No, he's more like a rapist." Yeah.
Well, and Eric's one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. Like, he's super awesome, but the guy is a tank, and he's only got 2 speeds, a 0 and 1,000.
Yeah.
And so, like,
Are you talking about Daigle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. See, you've
Oh yeah. In the war room, like
yeah.
we're not supposed to be going full speed, are we?
He probably didn't think he was going full speed. That's the thing about it.
Yeah.
Like they're really like he's not malicious, but he's a strong former gymnast who's got freaky strength, grip strength, everything. And so, you know, you'd get done rolling with him, and you're checking yourself for parts to see if they're still there, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, his ring name was the Rapist or Therapist.
Eric was the first guy to ever simultaneously kick me in the leg and the head. Like, I didn't know that was possible, but it was like we were hard sparring, and I'd already busted open my nose, and he kicked me in. I mean, it was a double kick, one leg, but it was like he literally kicked me in the leg and the head, and I just dropped my hands and stood there, and he's like, "Oh, I didn't hit you that hard," and he really didn't, but it was just so surprising I couldn't even.
He was hitting me back in the war room, and finally I was like, "Screw this!" And I just grabbed him and picked him up. and afterwards, he's like, "Dude," he just kind of picked me up like a rag doll. I was like, "Well, you're hitting me hard, man." And he was like, "I wasn't hitting you hard." I was like, "Well, I chose to pick you up because I was tired of being hit by you."
If you wanna see a good, hilarious video, just go on YouTube and look up Daigle Eats Matt. Daigle is spelled Daigle. Daigle Eats Matt. It's when he was a gymnast and he was doing the high bar and one of his straps breaks. And I've watched that video so many times because it's
so
hilarious.
But yeah,
check out Daigle Eats Matt.
I didn't even know he was a gymnast. That's
he's down in Lincoln.
Yeah.
At the university. Yeah.
Yep. So I guess from there, so it sounds like you were kind of into fitness and martial arts even before mix then.
Yeah, I mean, well, I mean, as a kid, I liked 2 things: music and Bruce Lee. So I watched too many ninja movies as a kid. Like, I just
You never watch too many ninja
I
movies.
wanted to be a ninja so bad. What is it, Shoguski? Oh man, that guy was my hero. But yeah, and then 2010, like, I was not good. I was about 295 pounds of fat, you know, and I was drinking 16 Diet Cokes a day.
Fuck.
I don't even think I ever drank water, to be
Wow.
honest. And I'll tell you what, like, you know, in my young years of growing up, like I said, I was probably considered a greaser, so I had done my share of drugs, you know, as a young age, and I'm pretty glad I got out of them as a young age, but never was anything like coming off Diet Coke.
Really?
That was the most miserable 10 days of my life.
Whoa.
Like, holy crap.
So what made you go cold turkey? Like, where was the oh shit moment, or what happened?
Yeah, I was just 295. I got on a scale and was like, holy shit. Like, I am one.
This got out of control.
I am one fat bitch. and it's funny, right before I weighed myself, I had bumped into this guy, Ted Quick. I had gone to school with him, and he was like a buddy of mine when I was growing up. And I hadn't seen him in like shit since high school. And he was jacked. He was just ripped, jacked. And he's like, hey, you should meet me for lunch this week, you know? So I met him for lunch, and he's like, I need a workout partner. And I was like, all right. And that day I stopped drinking Diet Coke. Plus I had acid reflux so bad, and I didn't want to be on the meds anymore. So I got off the Diet Cokes, and I started working out with him, and I just got hooked.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I met with the dietitian, and we set up a game plan for me, and I went from 295 all the way down to 217. Then at 217, he was like, okay, now you're going to start really lifting. And at 217, I went all the way back up to probably about 255 when I walked into your gym.
You're a big dude.
So, and I was probably 255, sitting at about, 12% body fat. Wow. So I had some muscle.
Oh yeah. Jeez. So how would you say then, because one of the things that we talk about is, the people that have been overweight, sometimes they've been overweight their whole life. And they're just kind of okay with it. Do you remember like differences in your job or just in your life, or how you felt better from being, 295 to 217 and then to 255? Like, did it help you perform better at work, like on the road where you?
Oh yeah. I slept better. Work was easier. It wasn't so achy. You know what I mean? Like just everything was better. I didn't have acid reflux anymore. My cholesterol, everything went down. Like, it's great. Like when the trusses were low, I found myself always doing pull-ups on them.
Nice. Looking for ways to work out.
And I did. I became a little bit overly infatuated with it, and it's sad because it just overconsumed my life. I don't lift as much anymore. Like, I still work out probably at least 4 days a week, but I'm not sitting in the gym for 2.5 hours a day. Like, now I find that 1 hour of like balls at it, go in there and just for an hour just slay, and that's good. Like, I don't need to 2.5 hours working out. Like,
I don't know about you, but I tend to see that happen a lot, where if someone comes in and they haven't been in shape and then they get in shape, like they get really infatuated because they just feel so great and they just love seeing the results and then eventually it kind of tapers off. I mean, I was that way. I was training 2-3 hours a day when I first came into the gym.
Yeah, but it's just not sustainable though.
Yeah.
Unless you're getting ready for a fight or you have some event or some kind of competition or something like that. Training like that just isn't sustainable. Your body only has so many miles on it, and if you use them all up between 18 and 30 and you live to 70, you're proper fucked at that point, so you just have to kind of pace yourself. And if you don't have a sporting event or something like that, there's really no need to crush yourself. I mean, the looking back, the way I used to work out and a lot of people I knew that were crazy, we had something else going on. I mean, there was, to be realistic, it wasn't, that working out was filling a hole or a void, something in our life that wasn't quite right or maybe missing. I mean, if I was happy with my life, I probably wouldn't have won a couple of world titles.
Yeah.
I'd have been like, I'm okay.
Yeah.
It's 12 degrees outside in November. I don't need to book a fight in March because that means I'm going to be running in the winter. I'm good. But, but the beauty is trying to find that balance. And unfortunately, we tend to find it when we're older and you're like, damn, I wish I'd have known this because I'd have probably still been as good if I hadn't have overtrained and I'd have still been able to do that. It just kind of, the age, maturity is the mother of all learning,
Yeah, absolutely.
It's funny you say that because 2010, like I said, it was like October of 2010 when I made that decision. When I turned 40 in 2011, so all right, 2011 did I turn 40?
How old are you now?
I'll be 48 in May.
I got you beat.
So, so I was 40 when I walked through your doors of your gym. That's another reason why I was like scared when I walked in McDonald's. I'm like, I'm a 40-year-old man. And I was there, let's go in here and start sparring with like 20-year-olds and 30-year-olds.
Yeah.
Like, I'm 40 at this point. Like, I'm a little old for this.
That's one of the great things about our gym, though. I mean, not necessarily people of all ages sparring, but we certainly have like people with disabilities. We've got young people, old people. I mean, we've got people your age starting jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And jiu-jitsu probably is the easiest for your body as you get older.
Yeah.
Because you can make it competitive if you want. But it's just far less damaging on you, and you still get that rush that like you felt like you kicked your own ass and you're learning things and learning self-defense skills. It's combat, but it's far less ballistic than Muay Thai. You can't keep sparring Muay Thai forever.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen. Or else you have to get with people who are technically good but will spar relaxed and flow, and then you still get the enjoyment and the timing and the technique and all that, and it looks pretty, but you can get up the next day and go to work.
Yeah.
You know,
not slugfesting with who is it? The professional.
Yeah.
The professional dude that I ended up.
Who
was the dude in the box when it was we're boxing that day? Like, it got ugly for a second. It got real ugly.
I threw you in there with a professional.
Yeah, and you scolded both of us because we started.
Oh yeah,
we started going for it.
Yeah. There's no need for that. I mean, a little bit of it's okay.
I'm
the thing is, like,
too old for that.
If you know what though, here's the thing: if you're in a, you know, I don't mind a little bit of that kind of argy-bargy going on in the gym, so long as everybody can go, that was fucking cool. Yeah, all right, see you tomorrow, and walk away. It only becomes
actually cool with it.
Yeah,
when it was over.
It only becomes a problem when
He seemed a little bent.
yeah, you feel like someone got one over on you and something like that, and then that just can spiral out of control. But you know, competition gym, yeah, you're gonna have some egos, you're gonna have some personalities, and sometimes you need a little bit. So long as you have someone like me or whoever who's keeping it all in check.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
It's kind of like that video. You know, coach says to spar light, and then 5 minutes later, and it shows those two gorillas.
Yeah, just smacking the shit out of each other.
Just
yeah.
It's funny because back in the day, training Muay Thai, like I was always kind of the guy. I was the calm-headed guy, right? Like if someone would power up on me, I'd be like, oh, I'm not gonna do the same. But there was one guy. I'm not gonna name any names, but there was one guy. Like whenever we sparred, I was like, I'm gonna hit you as hard as I. And it's it starts slowly, like, oh, you hit me a little too hard. Oh, I hit you a little too hard. Oh, and then it's just it's like two gorillas going at it.
Yeah,
so.
it can go south real quick.
So
but I'm much kinder and gentler these days, Yeti.
I like that.
Yeah.
So am I.
It's much better.
Me too.
Yeah. I actually, I look back at like the old me fighting and stuff. I don't really like that guy. It served a purpose, but I probably lost a lot of potentially really, really good students and fighters because, especially like when I was competing, everybody in that gym was cannon fodder for me too, because I needed sparring partners. I needed to keep my edge, and I went through a lot of people that I kind of feel bad about now, that I wish I hadn't have been so rough on them and they'd have stuck around, and they might still be doing it, but I'm sure there was a lot of people that were like, well, fuck that place. Yeah. I'm not going back there.
Live and learn. And it's kind of hard looking back because, if I would have done this, maybe, this would have happened, but I don't know. We all ended up where we are. And, it worked out. So none of us are dead yet. So I guess kind of on a different subject here, we'll get back to some fun stuff here. So I seem to remember seeing a video of you.
It's on YouTube, kids.
Online.
So it must be real.
Only 8 million people saw it.
Yeah. Dancing in a Speedo. Can you tell us a little bit about that story?
Yeah. Dancing in a Speedo in a protest against a protest. The Westboro Baptist Arm?
Baptist Church.
Westboro Baptist Church.
Those crazy bitches. Yeah. Protesting Foo Fighters show. So we went out to a pickup truck and played a little Rick Astley, which everybody knows is getting Rick rolled. Mm-hmm. And I got conned into wearing a purple shirt, I think it was, and a mixed purplish colored Speedo.
Yeah.
And I was the only one wearing that.
How did that come about?
The band.
You were duped?
I was duped by the band. They said we were all going to be wearing them. Then I get in the truck and Taylor and Dave are both like, yeah, no, just you, bro. And I had my wife with me, and she's sitting in the front of the truck, very pregnant. Like, God, please don't get shot wearing what you're wearing right now. This is stupid, babe. I'm like, it'll be fun. Little did I know that like it was going to make nationwide news like it did, and then become a YouTube thing. And the sad, crazy thing that is that our keyboard tech on Foo Fighters is from Kansas City. He actually went to school with the dude who shot the video that all the news outlets used. So the video you watch on YouTube that has like 8 million views or whatever, that freaking kid got a check from YouTube for like $25 grand.
I bet, yeah.
What?
So he gets $25 grand. the band gets world press for like standing up against Westboro, and I
get a speedo,
and I get embarrassed by showing my not looking good in a speedo and a tight purple girl shirt, and I got made fun of.
Got some nicknames though.
Yeah, Sirloin and Sirloin, Speedo Daddy.
So you actually, so the backstory to that is that you actually became quite a hit in the gay community, right?
I did apparently. Yeah, the band came to me and said, you come to the dressing room. They pulled up, I don't know, web boards, and yeah, apparently I was a hit. Apparently I guess sexy to some people when I'm wearing a Speedo and a tight purple shirt.
Women's shirt.
Yeah. So Sirloin. So maybe I'm glad those nicknames didn't stick though.
So would that rank as the most embarrassing moment as a roadie, or is there another story that you don't mind sharing that that Lacey would be cool with?
That's pretty embarrassing. But yeah, there's one other. Like I got conned by Limp Bizkit in Japan or Korea or somewhere. Like the old school like Barnum Bailey Circus strongman wore just that little the two straps then it just kind of covers your pee.
Yeah.
Well, they scored me one of those in Japan or Korea, and I was pretty chubby at the time. Like I was kind of thicker, and they're like, you got to go out in this and do Rollin', the song Rollin', 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 and the whole dance with Fred there. Because I knew that dance. I'd seen it so many times. They're like, go out there in that tonight. They gave me these glasses with the tape in the middle, and they did like this whole pre-video with me. Like I'm warming up backstage. I'm jumping the rope and doing push-ups, and then I run out there and that video ended up circulating because of a production manager into other gigs. Like I was on Clay Aiken, and all of a sudden it came up on the video screen on Clay Aiken. On Kelly Clarkson, it came up on the video screen. I was like, and people, all these roadies are like, man, like hitting me up on my phone, like, I totally saw this video of you. Like, I'm like, oh my. So that was probably the most embarrassing because
no. And no royalties yet either?
No. And I mean, that thing was showing way more skin than the Speedo or the girl shirt. Man. Like, there was just two little teeny straps and then just my junk basically covered.
Tight enough to tell what religion you are.
Yeah. Holy moly.
So you think you'll ever get conned into doing that stuff again, or you?
No.
And
when we got to Kansas City this year on tour, I was like, I don't care if they're out there. I don't care if the band calls me to the dressing room. I was like, not a chance. Not a chance. No way.
But here, I have an apprentice that would gladly do it.
Yeah, I'll find somebody else to do it for me.
Yeah.
Like,
delegate that,
So if those are the low lights, what's some of the highlights
of touring?
Yeah.
Over my career?
Some of the cool shit that you've done or seen.
There's been a lot. I mean, I'm a huge Beatles fan, and the first time I met Paul McCartney was at Abbey Road, which was pretty stellar. Like I was sitting on the floor playing with Dave's daughter. His oldest daughter, Violet, had just been born, and we were doing a cover of Band on the Run. And I'm sitting there and I start hearing this voice talking. I didn't hear him come in, and I just turned around and I was like, oh my God, that's Paul McCartney, right? And I'm in Abbey Road and there's Paul McCartney. But it later went on to us doing a thing for Paul McCartney in LA. The Grammys every year, before the Grammys, they do like a show that's like an auction to raise money and choose one artist to be like the focus on. It was Paul McCartney. And they have a party backstage, and they had all these like Paul's a vegan, so it was like this whole vegan Mexican buffet back there and everything. And I saw Tom Hanks standing there, and that's like my favorite male actor. And I was like, holy shit, Tom Hanks. So I go over there, and I just went up to him and I said, hey Tom, my name's Yeti, and I work for the Foo Fighters. And he's like, holy shit, the Foo Fighters killed it tonight. But he literally said to me, he goes, they wouldn't kill it if it wasn't for you guys, though. He's like, so here's to you. And we clinked beers. Then long story short, Paul comes out, And I find myself hanging for like literally like the next 45 minutes with Paul McCartney and Tom Hanks. Paul McCartney ends up making me a plate of vegan tacos because I asked him if I could take a picture with both of them, and he's like, after we eat tacos. So I ate tacos, vegan tacos, drank beer with Paul McCartney and Tom Hanks. So that's kind of like my be-all right there.
You're
I was
like, thank you and good night.
Yeah, literally, I was like, I could retire at this point. And then like Taylor played with Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson from Rush in Toronto, and just bullshitting with Geddy Lee was I mean, like I said, I saw Rush when I was in the 70s.
Yeah,
like, I was always been a huge fan, and he is so down to earth, and they are the nicest guys in the world, and like just a highlight of my, like.
So, anybody that you would like to meet that you haven't yet?
Musically, not really. I mean, I don't want to be like doot doot my own horn, but I've pretty much met everybody that like I would have wanted to meet, you know, because I've met Kiss and met all the guys from Zeppelin that are still alive, and you know, Rush, Spice Girls.
Nice.
So, what music do you listen to when you work out? Like, what's your playlist, or you know?
My playlist is heavy music, you know, because that was my first, like, when I was a kid, I was into metal, you know, so it's about the only time I listen to metal now, which is funny because now the things I hated growing up, I find myself listening to. Like when I was when I was driving here, I'm listening to, you know, like, you know, 80s new wave, or I'm listening to Sade and Seal, but like working out, I listen to a lot of Slipknot, a lot of Kill Switch Engage. I listen to like AC/DC, Metallica, Slayer, Nuclear Assault, Rigor Mortis, stuff like that.
That's the angry white man playlist that we call in the gym.
Yeah, like I've been getting into a lot of old DRI and stuff like that. But yeah, so my playlist is very just, like I said, it's 1 hour, so I'm gonna just for 1 hour have something screaming in my head, so I can just slam weights around for as hard as I can.
Be angry.
That's awesome.
Be angry.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we're starting to run out of time, so we can kind of start to wrap this up. Are you online at all? Like, can people find you online? Like, do you
want to be found?
Yeah, do you want to be found?
I have an Instagram. It's Yeti World, YTI World, one word. It's private, you know. I don't have it just open because there's a lot of.
I'm sure you get a lot of crazies though in the music business.
I mean,
especially at that level.
Every band I've worked for, there's always been like hard super fans. Like, and I'm Clake, and I had a lot of crazies that were like sending me shit even. And Foo Fighters have a hardcore base of super fans. Most of them are cool. I mean, there's some that I'm like, all right, hey. Yeah. But yeah, I don't just keep my Instagram open just because. I don't know. I don't want. Yeah, I guess that's what most people have Instagram for, so that they wake up.
Mine's the same too.
Yeah, so they wake up and go, "Oh, I have 100,000 followers now." Like, I don't know. Like, I don't think I want 100,000 followers.
Yeah, I just actually found out because I was thinking about deactivating my Facebook account because I'm just fucking over it. But I need to keep it open in order to have a gym page. And I'm like, well, this is some bullshit. You know,
Facebook's been driving me crazy. I don't know what's up, but I've had like going on 1,000 friend requests this month.
Wow,
this month. And
I've never had Facebook.
Yeah, you're not missing him.
Yeah, it's shite. It's a waste of time.
I mean, literally, this Instagram is my first
foray into the whole social media thing.
Yeah, and it's mainly because I love taking pictures. You know, like I love taking pictures.
Yeah,
you know.
Now I love like some of the warm-up videos that you post, and when the bands are kind of rehearsing and stuff like that. It's just cool.
Did you see my latest post?
Which one?
The one of my trophy.
No.
I went to the 50th annual Growl Bowl.
What's the Growl Bowl?
It was Dave's 50th birthday party.
Oh, really?
We duked out an entire bowling alley. Everything said Growl Bowl inside. And I brought home the karaoke contest.
Nice.
the pipes one.
I was going to ask you if you went to that because so we opened for Tim Montana like last year or something, and apparently he knows Dave or something, and he was there. And so I was looking I was watching him on Instagram, and I was like, is Yeti in there? And I couldn't tell, but it looked like a good time.
It was a good time. That bowling alley's big and it was packed.
Yeah.
And Dave literally said in his speech, he's like, I invited everybody that I'm friends with, and I pretty much invited everybody who I really like to drink with. And he likes to drink, so there is a large.
There's one thing about that band that just blows me away is that you see them like very connected with fans. Especially like this last year, some of the videos that went up of Kiss Guy. I don't know if that was from this year or not. Playing.
Yeah, it was this year. Or last year, I guess.
Is that normal? I mean, are they just? Are they just willing to kind of roll the dice and have people up on stage like that?
And it got out of hand, actually, because, he let 3 different people come up and play drums, and, you didn't see them as much as Kiss Guy or this other guitar kid.
Because, the kid, too. That was the other one I was
because
thinking of,
they weren't very good drummers. But, the Kiss Guy, and then little kid got up and played guitar, but then we had another kid who's probably like 20 years old who got up and just shredded too. So they will just roll dice, but with the whole look at him and be like, can you really play? To the guitar players. Fortunately, he didn't say that to the drummers. Can you really play? And Taylor Hawkins is how do you just get up and he's one of the best rock drummers out there.
Yeah, right.
But and then after that, every show there's at least 40 poster boards on the floor that are all begging to please let me come up and play on said song, whatever, and I think people started to think he was going to do it every night, and he's like, I'm not going to do that every night, But
well, I can play guitar, but I wouldn't want to get up there with those guys and try to play.
Just get up there and shred it.
Yeah,
we've actually had a nightmare story. Is we were playing in an Irish pub somewhere. I want to say it was Kansas City, and there's a guy who had a squeeze box, and he's like, "Hey, I was like, do you play?" And he's like, "Yeah, I've been playing Irish music for years." And I was like, "Oh," so I'm like, "Well, let's get him up." And so we got him up, and he's like, "How about we do this set of traditional tunes?" And it's normal for the lead instrument, the fiddle player or the accordion player to pick the set of tunes, and then we're like, all right, yeah, key of D, it's a jig, whatever, and we start playing, and I'm like, he's not bad. So we get done, and then he turns and he's like, okay, now how about we do this? And I'm like, okay. So we do another set of tunes. Now Irish tunes can last 5-6 minutes. So now this guy is burned up 12 minutes of our 45-minute set. We get done, and I was like, great, nice job. Okay, thanks for coming. He's like, well, actually, I have another one, and he just starts playing. And I'm just like, mute.
Yeah.
Pick a window, you're leaving.
that's when you're wishing the hook that comes out, takes the person off stage. You're like,
yeah,
takes him back.
But yeah, so we were like, okay, no more.
Yeah.
Fuck this. I don't care how nice of an accordion he's carrying at the stage. Doesn't mean he can play, and it doesn't mean that he's not an asshole. Yeah. So
they had a little kid get up on drums and
didn't want to leave.
And he didn't play a song. They were just letting him play the drums, and he just thought, okay, the Foo Fighters show's done, and now this is my personal drum kit to play in front of all these people.
Oh, shit.
And they kept and Taylor's kind of trying to grab the kid, hey, good job, buddy. The kid just kept banging away, and the kid's father's like, yeah, go.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that would
we played this acoustic show out at a brewery, and our drummer had given this kid drumsticks at a different show, and he brought the drumsticks to this acoustic show with no drummer. And so he was sitting right up by our monitor the whole set, banging this drumstick on the concrete floor out of time. And so we're trying to play an acoustic song completely out of time. And it's you don't want to put him down and crush his dreams of playing drums, because apparently he's learning how to play drums. But that night he did not have any time, and it was challenging.
Well, you'll get a kick out of this story. So there's a pub. Used to be a pub in Dublin called Mother Redcaps. Great traditional music session. It's where my uncle, when it was around, used to play there every Sunday morning. And so you have in the traditional Irish pub, you have kind of the inner circle of main musicians who are all like fucking good. And then you'll have chairs behind them of musicians that are like not bad, and they're kind of accompanying the lead musicians. And every now and again you'll have maybe a singer. But inevitably there is an American tourist who brings a bowron. The goat skin hand drums are, traditional Irish instrument. And typically they are the people who are just banging away, just hammering out. They bought it at an Irish gift shop in Dublin, and they took it out of the bag and brought it to a pub, and they're going to start trying to play Irish music in the middle of a traditional session. And it's like these sessions are kind of quite territorial. I mean, there's some like where if I go, I won't even play the guitar because everyone else is just too fucking good. And like I won't even, like I'll play the bowron and stuff like that, and I'll sing, but there's some I just know my role. But we're in one of the Red Caps, and it's like a really killer session, great musicians, and then there's this tourist playing the drum, and one of the musicians in the inner kind of circle just stops a set of tunes and says to this woman, "Give me that." Takes her stick, her drumstick, puts it down, reaches in his bag and hands her a box cutter and says, "Go ahead and play that instead. Play it with that." Basically telling her, tear the shit out of his fucking drum because you. And I'm like, oh, brutal. Like that's probably how you have to be at one of these fucking sessions with tourists and stuff. So it can go bad real quick. And then you can have someone like that guy just reel it all back in and take charge.
I want to play with you.
Yeah. Speaking of, I actually still have a drum belonging to you.
What's that?
I have an electronic drum.
Oh yeah, my Roland.
Yeah.
I totally forgot about that thing.
Yeah. Shit. Oh no, I don't. Yeah. No, actually, I thought about that. That's in my basement, which you should come over because I turned my basement once my kids moved out. When you set up that drum kit in their playroom, that playroom is now a pretty fucking cool, authentic Irish pub.
Really?
Pretty sweet.
Yeah.
It's
so
nice.
it's down there.
Yeah, let's come down and do some electronic drum jamming. And,
we'll drink some Diet Cokes.
Well,
no, we won't.
I guess I'll drink beer.
Yeah.
Is that keto?
No.
Whiskey is.
Yeah.
We just found that out. Whiskey's keto. So
really?
And I have some. Yeah. I have lots of good whiskey down there too.
Yeah.
Some proper 12.
Yeah.
I've been drinking a lot of Macallan lately.
Oh yeah.
Proper 12 is really good. Shout out to Conor McGregor.
Mm-hmm. It is good?
It's actually very good.
It is proper?
Yeah. It definitely better than Jameson.
That's good because I like Jameson.
Cross of Jameson and Bushmills. It's kind of oaky like Bushmills is.
Yeah, I like Bushmills.
I was surprised because it didn't taste like I had expected it. I really don't know what I expected, but it didn't taste like expected. But I got 3 that night in Boston.
You like it
delicious. Too? Yeah. Yeah, and I'm a big whiskey drinker, I think. Yeah. I mean, Buffalo Trace is probably one of my favorites.
Okay.
Blanton's, but I have yet to pick up a bottle of Proper 12.
Have you tried Soldier Valley here?
I've done the distillery tour.
Yeah.
I've got a bottle at home.
That's pretty good too.
Yeah.
It's made by a veteran.
Not.
The bottles are actually trademarked or whatever. They're the shape of a World War II canteen.
Yeah.
Wow, that's rad.
It's all about.
That's here in Nebraska?
Yeah. It's in Iowa, right? Is he in Iowa or Nebraska?
Nebraska.
Yeah.
It's right over by where my body shop used to be.
Yeah.
So
veteran owned.
Very nice.
They have them here.
Yeah. Well,
ooh, doggy.
We need to get Yeti back so he can pick up his kids. But
my dad.
Those kids.
Yeah, just wanted to say thank you for coming on. And honestly,
thanks for having me.
Yeah,
it's awesome. Cool to kind of to talk with someone who's been there for the whole genesis of the Foo Fighters. It's awesome to see like they're a glimmer of hope in the blackness that is rock and roll. So I'm hoping they can inspire the future generations.
I hope so too, because basically rock is dead as we know it. I hate to say that, but I mean there's just not very many bands.
Yeah.
Not very many bands that play without track. You know what I mean? Like,
well, guitar is really hard. So it's a lot easier to punch buttons on a computer.
I mean, I know I have one band in particular. I'll just say real quick, Greta Van Fleet. And I know they sound like people are like they're ripping off Led Zeppelin and everything. But hey, man, here's a new age of kids that they're playing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's no tracks, no nothing.
Yep.
Everything you hear, they're actually playing, and kudos to them, man.
Absolutely.
But
any other quick shout outs? Any other bands we should check out?
No, not really.
Okay.
I'm so out of it. I really am. Like I never turn on the radio. Because what do you
imagine if it's
what are you
going to
listen to?
Yeah.
You know, and I listen to satellite radio, so I just listen to classic vinyl.
Okay.
You know.
Awesome.
So yeah, shout out to Foo Fighters.
Yeah. Hopefully they're listening to this, Dave. Love the work, Taylor. Great drumming. And I actually listened to the Walking the Floor podcast. I really enjoy that podcast.
Oh yeah, Chris's podcast.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, he's out on the road right now. He's in Texas, I think.
What is that? What is his band's name? The Dead Peasants.
Solo acoustic tour.
Oh,
right
solo.
now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just Chris Shufflett on acoustic guitar.
Awesome.
So.
All right. Well, we'll go ahead and call this for the day, and who knows? Maybe when you're back in town, we can do a round 2.
Yeah, anytime. Round 2 would be good.
All right.
Next time we can get into some scanty tour stories.
All right.
Right. Well, we will talk to you later.
All right. Cheers, guys.
Thanks.
All right. The Yeti has left the building. That was a fun talk. I'm really glad he can come in. Hopefully
he's
we
a
can do some
character.
more. So as always, you can find all this at thegentlemanbadass.com. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe. That helps us out quite a bit. Hit the like button and tell your friends about us. Before we end today, we wanted to go ahead and give you the workout of the week as well as the book of the week. So Mick, you got the workout of the week?
Yeah, in a previous podcast, I talked a little bit about doing kind of pyramid sets where you may do reps of 10, then 8, then 6, then 4, then 2. I always find that this is an easy way to keep your attention and to kind of kick your own ass in a short amount of time. So for this workout, all you actually need is some space on the floor and a sturdy chair. You're going to start off with 10 chair squats. And what chair squats are is I'm going to stand straight up above the chair. I'm going to slowly lower myself down. And before my tailbone actually touches the chair, my hamstrings are probably going to make contact with the edge of the chair. I go to that point where my hamstring just barely touches the chair, and then I stand straight up. So this would be a chair squat. So I'm actually not sitting down between them. I'll do 10 chair squats. I'll go behind the chair and I'll do 10 squat thrusts. 10 squat thrusts are where my hands are on the ground like I'm about to do a push-up, and I bring both feet in so that my knees come underneath my chest, and then I kick my feet away all the way so I'm back out in that push-up kind of position. Then 10 burpees where I squat down, do the same thing, jump up into the air between each burpee. After that, I'm going to go to the front of the chair. I'll grab the seat of the chair while it's on the ground, and I'll do 10 push-ups. Then I'll flip around, put my hands on the back of the seat, and I will do 10 dips. So it is 10 chair squats, 10 squat thrusts, 10 burpees, 10 push-ups, 10 dips. My next set will be 8 of each of those exercises, then 6, then 4, and then I finish up with 2 of each one. Another workout that takes about 10 minutes if you don't take a break, and you'll be surprised of how easily that will kick your ass. And some of the things that I want you guys to think about with these workouts is that some of these workouts definitely involve a gym, definitely require you dedicating a little more time, but sometimes you just have to get off your ass and move. One of the watches I wear is a smartwatch, and it reminds me it literally vibrates on my hand and says, you got to move. So these are quick workouts that you can do in your office, and you'll get your heart rate up there and get to moving.
That's actually kind of perfect for today, because I was on the road this weekend, and obviously in the summer I'll be on the road quite a bit, and I find myself in hotels, and oftentimes I find myself uninspired to work out, or just, I don't really want to go to the gym because their equipment isn't that great at the gym, and I don't have a vehicle to drive to another gym. So, I mean, that workout you could do in a hotel room. Absolutely.
You just need a chair, and if you didn't have a chair, you substitute like maybe the edge of the bed or just something kind of sturdy. And again, it's just part of this whole thing is just getting off your ass and forcing yourself to start and finish a task.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
Yep. And I mean, it's a quick workout, and you're going to be toast afterwards. So
Absolutely.
you can be proud of it the rest of the day. All right. So for the book of the week this week, I'm going to throw people a curveball. I'm going to actually recommend some fiction this week. So the book I'm going to recommend is Jack Reacher, The Killing Floor by Lee Child. Now, when I say Jack Reacher, people are initially going to think Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise, well, because he did 2 movies of Jack Reacher. Tom Cruise is not Jack Reacher. I'm just going to go on the record and say that. Jack Reacher is 6'5", 250 pounds, blonde hair, right? So basically, Chris Hemsworth would be a better Jack Reacher. And I'm hoping actually as Chris Hemsworth ages that they'll turn him into Jack Reacher. Because one of the quotes from the book is like, Jack Reacher is like a man who has never met his match. Right, he's not someone that has to fight for a lot, but he gets in a lot of fights, and he's definitely more badass than Gentleman. But this is my guilty reading. I probably read 10, 12 Jack Reacher books, and there's probably 10 or 12 left that I can read. So Killing Floor, it's actually the very first Jack Reacher book, and you can Google, Jack Reacher books in order, and there's a chronological order because there's a couple prequels, but I'm just reading them in the order that they were written. Killing Floor is a mystery. Like I consider myself fairly intelligent, and a lot of times I'll figure out a mystery book before it happens. This one had me scratching my head basically till the last page, and there's twists and turns, and Jack Reacher's kind of my spirit animal, I would say. So the book, once again, Jack Reacher, Killing Floor by Lee Child, and hopefully that'll get you hooked on that book series, and you'll just read them all. So I think I said it, but once again, thegentlemanbadass.com for everything that you need there. Patreon, go there and support us, at least until they potentially kick us off. I've heard they're cracking down on things that they don't agree with politically. And even though we're not really political, I'm sure they could find problems with us. So we'll see. I guess Jordan B. Peterson Jordan B. Peterson was making like close to $35,000 a month on Patreon, and he shut it down because they were kicking people off and he didn't agree with it. And they're going to try to start their own crowdfunding for these controversial people. Wow. So we'll see if that happens. But until then, we'll be on Patreon. Hopefully they don't kick us off. There's a lot of different things.
We would love to become so well listened to that we piss somebody off.
Yeah.
That would be that we've hit the bullseye.
Yeah.
If we're striking a chord and enough people are hearing it, then we're doing our job.
Yeah. So. And with Patreon, we don't have a whole lot up there yet, but there will be bonus footage. There will be bonus writing. There's discounts on merch that you can get, which we have on our website. Clear up into potential one-on-one mentoring with Mick and myself. And so check that out. And if you feel so inclined, then, sign up for as little as a $1 a month. You can help support the podcast. So with that, I think we'll go ahead and end. Anything else, Mick?
Nope. Keep training. Keep on being badass.
Yep. Excellent. Couldn't say it better myself. We'll see you next time.